All right, guys, this is the second triangle that I'm going to show you, and it differs from this one that we were working on. If you watched the last video, this triangle is a little bit easier because you constantly have one straight edge that you go back to. When you're doing a triangle like this, it's difficult because you have to make your own straight edges and you aren't locked into them at all. The only thing you're locked into is a horizontal line that kind of basically it's going to look like it snakes back and forth. With triangles, like I said on the last video, you need to make sure that you build up 3 rows every time before you drop the warp or drop the stitch. So with these types of triangles, these equilateral triangles, or not even equilateral, but the ones that are in the middle of your warp, you need to make sure that you build 3 and then you're dropping 2 at the same time, well, close to the same time. So what that means is, for example, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 strings. I'm going to build 3 rows of 9, then I'm going to drop it down from each side. So now I only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 strings. I'm going to build 3 rows of 7, drop it down. I'm going to build 3 rows of 5, drop it down, build it 3 rows of 3, drop it down, build 3 or 2 rows of 1, depending on how it looks, okay? This is going to give you a nice diagonal look to what you're doing. So let's get started. Diagonal lines for your triangle. So I went ahead and already built my first 3 rows for 9. So now I'm going to not go to the 9th spot right here. What I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go to the number 2 spot and the number 8 spot, if you're counting like that, or I just think of it as let go of the most outer ones. So I'm going to continue my over-under stitch. I think it's easiest to do over-under for these. I think if you do basket weave or twilling or something like that, it gets kind of tricky. I want to make sure that I go underneath this one. So this is my second row. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, or 7, I mean. Don't know how to count, Miss Braun. That's why I'm an art teacher. Okay. And I'm going to do one more row. Now, when I end this row, since it's my 3rd row, I'm actually going to not go all the way to 7. I'm going to go to 5 next. So that's why I said it's kind of like, on this one, if you watch this video, I said it's kind of like you do 2.5, because at the very end of your 3rd row, you drop it from this side. You drop the triangle. So I need to go over this one, under, over, under, over, under. I'm not going to go to this one. So I need to build 2 more or 3 more rows. What I'm going to actually do, because I built 3 rows here, 1, 2, 3, I'm going to build 3 more rows. Sorry, I keep messing up. You always want to build 3 rows, but on the end of your 3rd row, you build the next row. Sorry to be confusing. So I'm dropping this one, and I'm dropping this one now. So I'm dropping the second most outer one. So I'm going 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to the 5th one. Making sure that I'm looping around. Second row. Third row. So again, on the end of my 3rd row, I do the dropping. Wait. Yeah, this is my 3rd row. So I'm going to get rid of that one now, the one that I've been on. And on this side, I'm going to get rid of this one now. So now I'm down to 3, which is very little to weave with. So I'm going to do 3 of the 3s. 1, 2, 3. And actually on that last one, I was supposed to drop a stitch. Whoops. So I actually only now want to go around my middle one. You can do the same thing with an even number. I prefer doing it with an odd number because then you're left with only 1. If you start with, let's say, 10 and you get down to 2, then you just go from 2 and you just make it kind of tight and make it kind of small. I'm going to go around one more time. So now I can cut that off. and I have a nice triangle that started. When I go back and I weave other things in, it's gonna look a little bit more complete. Something you guys can do to, if you wanna keep it this width and you want the triangle to get bigger, you can probably guess what you would need to do. You would need to increase the space between the rows. So instead of doing 3 per row, maybe you do 4 per row. So that's how you can experiment with, like, I could still have a 9-string triangle, but I could make it grow like this. And I would have 4 rows of 9, 4 rows of 7, 4 rows of 5, 4 rows of 3, 4 rows of 1, okay? So that is a triangle in the middle of your piece. Something that you can do as well, for those of you guys that are doing the triangle, a kind of a cool trick that you can do, if you don't want to start over, you can go back, let's see, we're over, under, over, under, over, under. You can go back and create a running, it's called like a running stitch that goes back along your triangle. And looky there. Now, if you don't like that look, then don't do it. But what I could go back and do is I can start then making another triangle down here if I wanted to. So some of you guys have it like zigzagged like this. So I could start and I could go, and I can go all the way over to the beginning. And just pull the string down. And then I would do the same type of method. And I could go back and do the same thing, just like I did here. Or if you want it to be like super precise, you could cut it off here and just start here. That I'm leaving up to you guys. I don't care either way. I think stitches look great no matter how you do them. So if you want to take a shortcut and go down here and go over here, good with that, as long as you do under, over. Or if you want to knot it and start over, knot it and start over. I know some of you guys really like that cleaner look. Sometimes this doesn't look, you know, this looks much cleaner than just a stitch, a loose stitch coming down here. So your preference, but that's how you do a triangle in the middle.